Hi everyone, I'm Emma. Welcome back to the show. Please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Sister Wives fans are criticizing Cody and Robin for what they say is their most heinous acts. Robin Brown and Cody Brown have been criticized as the villains of the series by a number of Sister Wives fans. Others think that the couple's decision to become monogamous after a life of being polygamous was always part of an overall plan to separate themselves from the rest of the family. Cody and Robin have been getting plenty of flack in recent seasons, but faithful Sister Wives viewers think that their plotting began way earlier, back in the show's earlier seasons. Earlier, Sister Wives viewers met on Facebook to share what they think are the most diabolical things Cody and Robin have ever done. Make sure to get our Sister Wives newsletter by subscribing. You'll be getting the newest from monsters and critics sent straight to your inbox. By enrolling, you consent to our terms and conditions and privacy policy. One of the members of the Sister Wives Uncensored Facebook group asked everybody to chime in on a question and their opinions. Fans of Sister Wives spoke up about Cody and Robin's worst devilish deeds. The post wanted to know, what is the worst thing Robin and Cody said or did? Other members of the group were asked to get in on the action and reply. On the comments, fans of Sister Wives criticized Robin and Cody for using Mary manipulatively. Dozens of fans complained, telling us what they think were the worst things Cody and Robin ever did. Many of the negatives were about the way they apparently manipulated Mary Brown, the first wife of Cody, into divorcing him on Sister Wives Season 8. As most viewers recall, Mary and Cody formally divorced each other legally so that Cody could marry Robin legally and adopt her 3 children, Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna, from her previous marriage to David Preston Jessup. Others accused Cody of missing his and Christine's daughter, Isabel's, back surgery. Something that has continued to generate controversy among Sister Wives viewers throughout the years. Fans kept airing their grievances against Robin and Cody. In the meantime, while giving birth to their 3rd child together, Christine was left. Daughter, truly. Cody and Robin were also criticized by some Sister Wives fans for making out on the porch, particularly because Mary, Janelle, and Christine hardly ever received that sort of attention. Others also scolded Cody and Robin for having an 11-day honeymoon trip in California, while leaving the rest of the wives to take care of the children. One of Robin's critics on Facebook blamed her for orchestrating a plot to replace Cody's other 3 former wives until Robin and Cody could finally practice a monogamous way of life. A second commentator declared, "You can't name just one. He did so many bad things. Too many to mention unless you have a ton of time." Another Sister Wives fan wrote, suggesting that Robin's power goes deeper than she claims. Robin herself referred to it as ridiculous that so many have thought she's been putting her enemies under some sort of evil spell on Cody. She lashed out this season on Sister Wives, stating she's blamed any time Cody does something that people don't like. "I feel like whenever Cody makes a decision and they don't agree with it, I get blamed," Robin complained in a confessional about Mary, Janelle, and Christine. She also shot down the gossip about casting evil spells on her husband and definitively denied it. In Robin's view, there is this new gossip going around that she has Cody under her spell, something she described as ridiculous. At the same time, however, some Sister Wives supporters believe Christine erred in applying Cody's surname on the cover of her new book. Christine Brown, having used her ex-husband's surname for her standalone effort, has drawn criticism from the fans. The 52-year-old TV personality just revealed that she has penned an unfiltered tell-all memoir. As per a Monsters and Critics report, the new book, to be released in September, will recount Christine's story in her own voice. The book, Sister Wife, a memoir of faith, family, and finding freedom, is currently pre-ordering. Christine showed off the book cover to her Instagram fans on Tuesday, standing tough in a red blazer with coordinating lipstick. Be sure to get our Sister Wives newsletter by subscribing to get updates delivered right to your inbox about the latest from Monsters and Critics. By providing your information, you consent to our terms and privacy policy. Christine captioned her photo stating, "You know what? My book's cover is now complete." Wearing the gorgeous red dress, Christine's book is pre-ordering. The majority of Christine's Instagram fans were shocked at how beautiful the book cover was and raved about how beautiful it was. Others even begged her to tour on her book and to create an audiobook edition. Some fans, however, dwelled more on her name, Christine Brown Woolley, listed at the beginning of the book cover. Sister Wives viewers asked in the comments why Christine still is carrying her ex-husband's surname, Brown. Because Cody Brown has been so solidly portrayed as the bad guy of the reality show, other critics asked how his surname could still be present on Christine's book. "Why is the Brown last name still being used?" one fan requested. Another user posted, "I'd like to know why you still possess the Brown surname." One commenter termed it kind of messed up that Christine retained Cody's surname on the book cover. Their remark went on, "It nearly looks like you did not want to leave so much and still aren't sure." Another fan conceded they personally would have removed Brown from the book in order to make Cody angrier. Some of her fans noted that Christine likely retained the Brown surname for publicity purposes, as that's how the majority of people know her. Additionally, Christine has the same Brown last name as all 6 of her kids, which was also something that many of her fans noted. Christine hinted at spicy gossip and behind-the-scenes details and even offered a book tour. Following her reveal of her book cover, Christine went to her Instagram story, enthusiastically discussing the upcoming release. She hinted that she would be sharing some secrets and nitty-gritty stuff within the book. Christine also affirmed that she will be having a book tour prior to the release of her memoir. Christine stated during writing that she dug really deep in order to process all the various emotions that she was feeling. "I hope you love it," Christine replied, blowing a kiss to the camera as she concluded her video with, "Thanks so much in advance." The people who have watched Janelle Brown's journey of development over the last couple of years have begun questioning if she's really happy with where she is now. Janelle's life has changed dramatically, moving away from being a public figure in a complex, highly publicized family arrangement. Some of her fans are curious about what drives her meticulously planned posts and spotty updates, particularly considering how silent her online life has become, even where a lot of people often share a glimpse of joy. Well before she embarked on a more independent path, Janelle was raised in a home with a highly organized environment. She was among the first women to enter into serial marriages with men whose charm, vision, and ideals captured the hearts of such women. Together, they made a big, mixed family that was held together by common goals, children, and religion. For most of her life, Janelle seemed dedicated to maintaining equilibrium in a household in which emotional investments were frequently asymmetrical and power dynamics were frequently in flux. A major turning point arrived when yet another partner was brought into an already unstable home. That addition tipped the balance, with one woman obviously receiving more material resources, love, and nurturing from the patriarch of the family. The imbalance pulled on extended bonds, revealing emotional cracks that kept expanding with the years. With time, the emotional burden was too much. The original wives started reconsidering their lives, one at a time. The first to depart was famous for her toughness and resilience, and Janelle wasn't long behind her. Eventually, the once large family broke apart for good when the last member of the original 3 also mustered the courage to leave. Today, the world is witnessing this transformation on television in the show's latest season. Tensions boil, fueled by emotional scars, old grudges, and unsettled land claims. At the center of it all is Janelle, struggling to build a whole new life, one far removed from the chaotic family household she grew up in. Moving east was a giant leap in her own rebirth. Janelle welcomed the vision of creating a farm from scratch with her daughter, son-in-law, and their children. Although the land they purchased showed a lot of promise, it lacked essential. The property had no even minimum infrastructure and required huge investments of time, energy, and capital. While Janelle has publicly expressed her wish for renewal and healing after the tragic loss of her son, starting this farm has turned out to be much more arduous than she probably envisioned. Zoning problems, bureaucratic challenges, and the sheer complexity of building virgin land have repeatedly stalled the project, now named Tata Farms. What was once a beacon of hope is now seen differently through her social media. Less of a triumphant shout than a quiet murmur. There are now more glances of stoic endurance than instances of pure joy or concrete wins. In one recent post after a trip to the western region of the country, Janelle wrote about reconnecting with individuals she hadn't seen in years. Her melancholy words made clear how much she yearns for the social connections she sacrificed. "I gave so many years to motherhood, job, and school," she explained. "There wasn't room in my life for outside friendships. Now that I do have that room, though, I'm discovering how important these relationships are." This low-key acknowledgement seemed to say more than the actual words, exposing a truth about emotions. In seeking independence and peace, Janelle might have inadvertently cut herself off from the emotional support system that previously allowed her to survive. Creating a farm from the ground up doesn't only include physical challenges. The emotional and psychological requirements are just as great. While the country provides open, expansive space, it gives little solace when loneliness begins to set in. Janelle also must contend with having to rediscover who she is outside of her known roles, and now in an environment far away from the life she had previously known. Tata Farms, intended to signify change and development, for the time being still exists more in vision than practice. The actual land itself remains little changed. Even the most basic tasks become complicated by the lack of most basic utilities. Even after recently stating that work has started on what will be her new home, the size of the undertaking is certainly overwhelming. Considering her photos, it's difficult not to speculate whether her radiant smile conceals a hint of exhaustion. After decades of raising a family and existing in the public spotlight, Janelle stands at the threshold of something drastically different. Family was her priority at all times, always subordinating the needs of the group to her own goals. Although Janelle does possess financial stability, courtesy of earnings from the sale of one formerly provocative piece of property, the cash will only go so far. It appears she's making the larger, much more sentimental investment alone. Unlike a number of her ex-co-wives, Janelle has not discussed her personal life much. No assurances of new love starts, no beach selfies with a new love, and no burst of hearts emojis illuminating her feed. It's difficult not to comment on the disparity between her reserved personal musings and the effusive shared celebratory posts by those from her past. Is she guarding against further judgment? Or is she simply not bothered about trying again at this stage? Maybe for her, the thought of reigniting true friendship remains tenuous and uncertain. Nevertheless, there is the hope to believe that a community exists, prepared and willing to accept her. Supporters fill her social media with assurance messages, applauding her strength, reveling in her independence, and hoping she finds someone who will treat her with the tenderness she is due. It's highly likely that some fans have already reached out in private, motivated by her bravery and intent on walking alongside her. Whether or not Janelle is aware of them is uncertain, but if she were, she might be enveloped by a wave of support and compassion. If she were to let herself be open once more, love and friendship may return to her. At the moment, Janelle appears torn between two worlds. One, where she is the indomitable trailblazer breaking new ground. The other, where she is still a woman with wounds etched visibly upon her face by emotional neglect and heartbreak. Maybe what Janelle requires most at the moment isn't merely support from others, but self-grace. After investing so much of her existence in others, it could at last be her turn to accept love, friendship, healing, and perhaps joy, unreservedly. The most recent installment in the Brown family's extended TV saga has turned the attention away from its previous, often painful subject matter toward an altogether deeper emotional accounting. It sets out to confront the very core of their family ties and question the choices that have splintered them apart. Despite all the turmoil, one thing becomes clear and undeniable: the patriarch of the family must start repairing his broken relationships with his children before the window of opportunity slams shut for good. Once marked by years of common experiences, struggles, and a shared family aspiration, The matriarch of this large household also presided over multiple marriages, each one growing into its own individualized family with kids. But as time passed, the fissures in the foundation began to widen. He has become alienated not just from the women who once boasted of him as husband, but more painfully, from the children who once worshipped him in awe. The psychological toll of repeated separations, the pressure of favoritism, and the multifaceted challenge of sustaining plural marriage in the contemporary world have all exacted their price. In this season, most of the uncomfortable realities long suspected have surfaced. The video records a man struggling to make sense in the remains of the life he had constructed, bereft of his status as husband to everyone but one. What is most glaring, however, is the lack of genuine attempts at repairing relationships with the sons and daughters whose trust was broken so long ago. This lack hurts both viewers and family members equally. The kids who used to beg for attention from their father have become grown-ups, and in time, resolution. They have seen his withdrawal of emotions up close, observed how he favored one limb of the family tree and let others shrink away from lack of attention. Their literal and symbolic wails were ignored. Several managed to struggle on through adolescence and into adulthood with no stable figure of a father to call on during life's ups and downs. A few attempted to fix the broken relationship. Some, in hindsight, might wish that they had stopped hoping as soon as they had. Time and time again, they found themselves treated indifferently or with lukewarm efforts far too shallow to mend the heavy scars left over. As these kids found their voices and entered adulthood, the painful reality could no longer be denied. They were no longer, and maybe never were, his number one priority. This season has spared no viewers the brutal ugliness of that fact. The cameras show us a man seemingly paralyzed by the effects of his own behavior, more often withdrawing into his private anguish than taking responsibility. Though the viewer may empathize with his emotional angst, there's no denying the emotional wreckage strewn behind him. The suffering etched upon his features is clear, a far cry from the image presented earlier of a man once a leader in a united though unorthodox family. A former leader of an unorthodox family, now a lone figure, frequently distracted, burdened with unspoken regret. Arguably, the most heartbreaking moment was when the family went through their experience of immense loss. The horror of losing a member of their own shook through all the levels of their intricate dynamic. It was a poignant reminder that unresolved hurt casts a long shadow, and that time, unyielding and merciless, does not allow second chances. Following the loss, the profound chasm between the bereaved father and his other children became unthinkable to overlook. While the rest of the family comforted each other, he stood isolated to some extent, talking of his grief, shock, and heartbreak. Between every word, there were regrets ringing. The regret of strained relations, the guilt of decisions made in the past, and the hope to turn the clock back. Not only to alter the course of a single moment, but to reverse years of emotional distance he had contributed to creating. While his current partner provides emotional support in her own right, she cannot replace the voids left by his dysfunctional relationships with his children. To many observers, her presence, once a beacon of hope and harmony, has become a polarizing figure. There's a palpable tension as she attempts to comfort him, aware that the decisions they had made led to the walls that now separate him from his family. Grief alone is no longer sufficient. Action is now required. Mending broken ties requires more than time. It requires humility, patience, and a sincere effort to change. It's not so much about confessing old sins. It's about being present, really being present, listening without defensiveness, and showing his children that they are loved for who they are, not for the roles they once had in a public experiment. He needs to give love without conditions, apologize without excuse, and hold out his hand without expectation. Even if it's at the cost of painful realities about his own past, he has to be ready to hear their pain. Most importantly, he needs to understand that the aim is not to repair the smooth picture of an erstwhile ideal family, but to mend the shattered hearts that are left behind. If there's any silver lining over the sadness, it's this. There is still hope to rebuild, to make the grief yield growth. The tremendous loss they have suffered may still be the wake-up call he so badly needs. He needs to understand that the kind of relationships he forges from now on will determine his genuine legacy, way beyond the number of families he used to shepherd. The adult, and yet still burgeoning, children may or may not be there in anticipation. Some of these wounds will never heal, but the work remains to be accomplished. He needs to knock on their doors. He must let his voice be heard again, not as a distant authority figure, but as a father who is ready to show vulnerability, to be present, and to make true amends. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more daily updates. See you soon.